Adam Chris from My MMA News, being joined by Gary Grant Jr. He's the USKA president, and as I like to call him, the squared circle and cage master extraordinaire. Thank you, first and foremost, Gary, for joining me. And this is our first time talking on air. I appreciate you being on, and I appreciate you bringing some combat sports to my first state of Delaware, brother.
Thanks, Adam. It is great talking to you as always. We have done this many times in person, but
Yes.
never on video.
Right.
And I'm glad to be coming to Delaware.
Awesome, man. Well, I look forward to it. It's going to be a great weekend of fights. So speaking of it, it's going to be a full action-packed weekend. All March 29th or 28th through the 29th, you have USKA Muay Thai in the cage on top of the WAKO Team USKA Kickboxing Championship trials. Tell us about the weekend, man. Nobody's going to be able to tell it better than you. What's going on?
Right. So first, we have WAKO coming to town. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say if WAKO ever makes it into if kickboxing ever makes it into the Olympics, it will be through WAKO. They're certified by the Sport Accord, and they're all the way up to the World Games. And the World Games this year, in 2021, next year in July. And if you want to be on that team, if you want to fight in the World Games, this is the qualifying tournament for that event. So it's going to run Saturday and Sunday. Weigh-ins are Friday. And right now, there's over 100 fighters registered for that tournament. We're expecting 90 fights. That's what the quote we gave the insurance company the other day, or the numbers we're using. But it could go up or down. A lot of things could happen between now and then. But we're still got 23 days left to register for that. So we're looking for a pretty good WAKO event. And for the most part, that's going to be K1 rules. And we have 2 rings set up for that. And it's going to be happening in both rings all day long, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And we're still open for registration for that until the 23rd. So that wasn't enough. So, there's a lot of Muay Thai fighters and things like that. So I figured while we're doing this, we're going to do the USKA in the cage and primarily Muay Thai fights. And that'll be Saturday night. And right now we have 10 fights scheduled for that. We're going to be releasing them all throughout the week. And that looks to be a pretty exciting night of fights and a standalone card. So pretty exciting.
So speaking of USKA, that night of fights, is there any fights on that card schedule that you want to drop on us now so some of the fans can maybe look forward to?
Yeah, the best fight, it's going to be the fight of the night. It's going to be the AMI main event. It's going to be Jordan Wilson at 135 pounds. He's undefeated, and he's going against Josh Quintero from Rami Elite. And Rami always brings good fighters. He's like 12-4 or something like that. So, that's going to be an outstanding fight. And I'm really looking forward to that. Like I said, that'll probably be the main event. We're going to put up a USKA title for that fight. So that is the fight to look for that night.
So we got some USKA little bits. I want to talk a little bit about, I'm going to be bouncing back and forth because you have so much going on. So Tell us a little bit about the history of WAKO and what makes it so significant in the kickboxing community.
Well, the thing about WAKO, it has been around for years, right? And worldwide, it's got like 1 million members. And kickboxing, like in the United States, if you're an amateur with like 20 fights, you're a very experienced amateur.
Oh, yeah.
Our friend Breema, I think he had like 40-something, and that is just unheard of. When you go overseas, you fight, the Polish team or in England, you're talking about fighters who have 200 amateur fights.
Yeah.
So that's just a crazy number, a crazy experience. So the United States is a little bit behind the flow here. So I reached out to WAKO when I took over USKA not that long ago, and I said, hey, if you ever want to do something in the East, let's do it. And they didn't reach out to me at first. Then we decided that we'll do a regional event here, but it never really got any traction. I never really got it off the ground. Pennsylvania doesn't want to deal with sanctioning bodies. We actually tried to do a WAKO show at the Tropicana earlier this year in January. New Jersey really doesn't want anything to do with sanctioning bodies and WAKO and things like that. So the Delaware and the Nationals, that was a great fit. And again, if you win that, the adults are going to the Pan American Games. They're gonna compete in Brazil. All right, and then the Pan Americans, that's what leads into the World Games. The juniors, they're going to fight in Serbia. The winner's there. So WAKO, like I said, if K1 ever makes it into the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be through WAKO. If Muay Thai ever makes it into the Olympics, it's going to be through IFMA, a total different organization.
Mm-hmm.
So they're two different sports, and they're headed in the right direction. But it's a challenge, and we're just trying to help them with the national team and give them the best possible team, because they're fighting guys with 200 and 300 fights, which most people, I tell you that, they just look at me like I'm nuts.
Right. And I think the difference between what happens over here in the West and over there in the East, that a lot of people kind of have a misconstruement, or they have a misunderstanding about, is over there in the East, they might be fighting multiple times a night. They might be fighting multiple days a week. So, I mean, they have nonstop fights at a very young age going forward. Whereas it seems like in the West, there is a lot more medical concerns, and that's why they might, have less fights. Am I accurate in saying that?
Well, you're accurate in saying definitely they have a lot more fights overseas.
Right.
You bring up the medical concerns, like Rob Zabilski, he heads up WAKO USA.
Mm-hmm.
When they did their tournament last year, they had 150 athletes or something. I mean, it translated into over 100 fights, and a bloody nose was the worst thing for the tournament. So, guys are fighting 3 or 4 times, bloody nose. I mean, we have doctors and everything else, and paramedics that are there after the fight and stuff. So, medical concerns, I mean, definitely in the U.S., I mean, I don't think the state of Pennsylvania would ever let us fight twice in one night, But
right.
if you have 2 healthy athletes, I think it's just fine. And, it's absolutely safe. If somebody comes out of this ring, even if they win on March 28th and they're all battered up, they have to go see a doctor right after the fight. They walk down the steps, they see the doctor. And if he's like, whoa, you're not fighting on, you're not fighting on. So safety is the utmost important. I mean, I've been in this sport a long time, and if anyone ever got seriously hurt, or God forbid, the ultimate worst thing that could happen, that would be I would just quit the sport. So this is something safety is very strong concern, even though it's a tournament.
Right, and I'm glad that you emphasized on the WAKO and the tournament aspect. What I was referencing, as far as out in the East and everything, a lot of you see the fights in the bars, and the what the underground scene, where you see multiple fights in a night, or and the next day, and the same people.
Right.
That's what I was referencing.
Okay,
in that aspect.
gotcha.
Not anything as far as the WAKO or anything as official and legit as far as Muay Thai and kickboxing is concerned.
Right. I'm a little bit involved in that bare knuckle world too.
I know it.
When we did those first fights out in Cheyenne, Wyoming, the fights had already been going on. Bare knuckle fights had already been going on. But Dave Feldman's big thing was the first legal, sanctioned, and regulated. Those 3 things had never happened before in the United States. They were having bare knuckle fights in the back of a bar, exactly like you referenced. That was not safe, but Wyoming was letting it happen because they didn't have any laws against it. So when BKFC came into town, they said, hey, let's regulate it. You're doing it anyway, let's make it safer for everybody. So win-win.
And that's one thing I admire about Dave Feldman, is he took the spearhead in bare knuckle fighting, and he did it the absolute perfect and right way, the way it should be done. And you're behind it, and I see all the fun YouTube videos, which makes me transition to my next question. You got a sturdy team behind you, Tyler and Alexis. They're always road tripping with you, and all the fun behind the scenes videos that some people might not get to see, but I swear I want it to be a YouTube series. Tell us a little bit about what goes on in the road, and some of the fun stuff that you've come across in your years being a promoter, kickboxer, coach yourself, and just everything, the fun tales.
Well, Tyler and Alexis are always complaining that I don't mention them during this video. So that for them, this is going to be like the ultimate question. But, Tyler used to be with me as a karate student. He started with me when he was 4 years old. Right. He still kind of acts 4 years old, but he's in his mid-20s right now. Very mature person, human being.
Obviously.
Yeah. If you want to use the term human being. Alexis, I think, has been with me since she was 9 years old. So I've known them their whole entire lives. And people joke, and and they say the kids, and then it becomes I'm dad, and all this other nonsense and stuff. But a lot of times on these trips, we get a little bored, So we're always filming what Alexis is eating. the dumb things that Tyler's doing, and Tyler's always fun to, he wants to, here's a good one. Back to BKFC for a second. The ring is built a little bit unique, and the poles actually go into the ring after it's all set up, right? It kind of set in there. So we're always very careful not to drop anything down in a hole, right? Kind of like dropping a screwdriver in a pool while you're putting it together, like you don't drop anything in a hole. And Dave Feldman was messing around one day, and he threw something at me, and I threw it back, and he just brushed it away and like dropped it into the hole, And then I videotaped him, trying to get it out and everything else, and it was really funny. But then later on that night, or the day we're cleaning up, Tyler finds his VIP pass as David Feldman puts the pass on. He's mocking Dave and cursing like Dave does and everything else. So we have a good time. I mean, it's a long ride for them. I usually fly. They usually drive. So they're driving a truck like 20 hours. We have a trip to Kansas coming up. So we take it easy. And everything I'm involved with, the one thing that's pretty common is the USKA team. They're a great group of people. The WAKO team, great group of people. The BKFC team, great group of people. We're doing some new things out in New York with Jackhammer Promotions, with Bobby Campbell, great group of people. So we have a good time. We don't take ourselves too seriously. I used to promote these events years ago, and then I took a little time off, and I backed to Revolt House and USKA. And I said, if I ever do this again, I'm going to have much more fun instead of stress.
Makes sense.
And Tyler and Alexis help a lot with that. So,
well, it looks like you're having a ton of fun on top of being. You have so many hats to put on between everything that you do. And the one thing that I love seeing is, one, it's always a pleasure to see you at the fights because you're just a stand-up great dude to come across and joke with. So one, I can appreciate that. But two, you made the BKFC squared circle. If anybody out there doesn't know that, I know there's been interviews with you, anything like that. But if you don't know that by now, I'm talking to the man that created the bare knuckle fighting championship squared circle. But you're at multiple events with your cages and everything like that. What drove you to take that direction and like renting out the cages and just being in the mass market of combat sports?
Being broke, I guess. Just a little extra money. I was, promoting cage fights. And I did one up here. I'm from the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area, Pennsylvania. So we did a show at a soccer dome one year. And, I had my own cage and things like that. And a guy down the road, his name was Tim, maybe 20 minutes away in Berwick, he was putting up a fight card the following weekend in MMA, And I'm like, we're going to be pulling from each other. But, by that time, there's too much money put in everything and stuff. So I just made a deal to rent him out the cage. I figure if I lose my ass because of him on my weekend, at least I'll be able to make a little bit of it back the next weekend. And we became really good friends and stuff. And that just got the ball rolling. I actually started renting cages before anything else. And that just picked up momentum over the years. And, I bought another one and I bought a ring. And that's how I actually met Dave Feldman. I was renting cages out and, he saw me at an event and we got talking about the squared circle and what he wanted to build. And I said, yeah, I'll give it a try. And that's how we built it. And then the last couple of years, though, it's really taken off. I mean, we're going to do, I think, 42 events in 2020 here. So that's significantly up from last year. And, we picked up a couple of new promoters. So we're 42 events. That's almost every single weekend.
Yeah. Is it eventually going to get to the point where you're going to have to mimic the squared circle, make multiple of them, and just so they can kind of go on tour?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would think so. I mean, in the beginning, who knows what was going to happen with BKFC, but it's taken off. It's going through the roof.
Exploding.
So, yeah. So we've already had that ring down to Mexico and stuff and made it back. So right now, when we built the first version, it was fully functional and ready to go, but it was very heavy. So we're making it lighter now. Okay. And in the process, making it lighter, making it more efficient, making it easier to pick up, I would say we're about 80% done with the second ring already. We just keep taking the new parts and put them on the old parts. And then, but yeah, I mean, probably in a week or two, we could actually have a second one going up and ready to roll. But the new version, the lighter version, is the one we want to mimic. But definitely there's talks with BKFC about building more and putting them in different parts of the United States because we do a lot in Biloxi, Mississippi. Lauderdale and Tampa have been, huge hubs for us now with the BKFC. And now we're going out to Kansas And, there's talk of getting, New Mexico in a very near future. New Hampshire is legal, so you never know if we're going to make it up there. And then he got talking overseas. So that's a whole nother project.
Well, it has to be a fun ride for you. I mean, just how can you put in just a few words before we close it down? What is the life like of Gary Grant Jr.?
Yeah, well, it's very good, and I'm very grateful for everything.
Yeah.
People ask me like, "What am I doing these days?" When I see like an old friend from high school, I say the same thing because I've been in the martial arts karate world since I was 8 years old. And I've still had my own school since I was 17 years old. So I always tell them I'm chasing a fight game. Trying to make a living chasing a fight game in one way or another. Whether be as a promoter or renting out these rings and stuff. So that's what I do. I chase the fight game in one way or another, and just try to fit in where I can make a difference. If I'm not needed or wanted, I just go somewhere else.
Well, it seems like the demand for Gary Grant Jr. is high these days, and all the best to you, man, because nobody else deserves it, and a better guy couldn't get it. So congratulations, man. It's awesome to see. But before we close out, I want you to let the fans know and anybody know, one, how can anybody register for WAKO? Once again, let people know how they can do it, and two, how they can get their tickets to USKA in the cage.
Okay, so WAKO, you can still register up to March 23rd. That's going to be the hard cutoff. And that's at wakousa.org. And you can definitely register there anytime. There is a fee to register. It is a tournament. It is what it is. But like I said, that's going to be a tournament. I think every male adult division guaranteed to fight. Probably every junior male division guaranteed to fight. Adult females, most of them are guaranteed to fight right now. But if you register and we don't get you a fight, or WAKO doesn't get you a fight, it's a money back guarantee. It's a no lose situation. So go ahead to register. If we get you in a database, we'll start finding a fight for you. And then as far as the Saturday night fights, we're still taking applications for those fights as well. The Muay Thai in the cage, and that's at USKAFightsports.com, and the tickets will be available there also.
All right, Gary Grant Jr., man of many hats. I appreciate you taking the time, my friend. We always catch up at the fights. It's been a pleasure to catch up on camera, man. Best of luck in the future, and I can't wait to be there all weekend in March to support my man and see some great action-packed fights, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate everything you guys do for the sport, you and Bob and My MMA News and Eric Caldwell. Thank you very much.
All right, there he goes. Gary Grant Jr. ahead of a big, big weekend, March 28th and 29th. He's got WAKO, the tournament, coming to Delaware, and he's also got USKA in the cage coming to Delaware. Make sure you register. Make sure you get your tickets. And for Gary Grant Jr., I'm Adam Christ. Make sure you keep it locked to mymmanews.com for all your fight news needs.